NASA admits they don't have any real photos of Earth other than one that was taken from the moon in 1972 or whatever year it was. We took that picture that NASA took right off their website. We put it into Photoshop and we cranked up the levels, and the Earth had a box around it. Like it was cut and pasted right in there from NASA's website. Yeah.
Well, why would they want us to believe that it's round?
There we go. We're already there. That's a very good question. That's where we all default to.
Water, when unmanipulated, is to find its level. So whether you look at a cup of water, a bathtub, a swimming pool, a lake, or the ocean, it's flat. Of course, natural motion is not considered and doesn't equal a curve. We have 0 authentic pictures of the Earth, and they're all composites, and NASA even admits that they Photoshop Earth images.
It is Photoshop, but it's has to be.
On numerous occasions, NASA admits that we can't go beyond low Earth orbit, which is between 99 miles and 1,200 miles away. The interesting thing is that the moon is said to be 238,000 miles away, which is a difference of 236,800 miles. No matter if you're on the ground, on top of a building, a mountain, a hot air balloon, an airplane, or looking at high-altitude amateur balloon footage, the horizon never fails to rise right to your eyes. Whether you are looking at Toronto's skyline from Niagara on the lake, 31 miles away, Chicago's skyline from Union Pier, 43 miles away, or even Oahu from Kauai, which is up to 108 miles away from center to center, or 73 miles away from the closest points. You will not see any curvature where it's supposed to be. According to the Pythagorean theorem, which states that the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared, Oahu should not be visible whatsoever, but you can see the whole thing. In 1887, Albert Michelson and Edward Morley conducted what's known as the Michelson-Morley experiment. This experiment was attempting to prove the speculated motion of the Earth around the Sun, and when it failed, Albert Einstein was forced to form the theory of relativity to overcome this problem. In fact, anytime mainstream science is faced with undesirable results, they create a workaround, which isn't real science at all. The Sun is claimed to be 93 million miles away, with a radius of over 400,000 miles, but can easily be proven to be much closer and smaller by tracing the crepuscular rays back to its origin in the sky. If the Sun were indeed 93 million miles away, it would simply be impossible to have angled sun rays, as they should all consistently come in straight. According to the globular theory, a lunar eclipse occurs when the Sun, Earth, and Moon are in a direct line. But it is on record that since about the 15th century, over 50 eclipses have occurred while both the Sun and Moon are visible above the horizon. F. H. Cook, The Terrestrial Plane. It's a common misconception that the shadow of the Earth causes moon phases. Even the pastors and priests of the science religion readily admit this fact. The interesting thing about moon phases is that they are always the exact same 8 phases repeated. But if we were circling around the Sun, these 8 phases would inevitably be reversed from the summer to winter seasons. I completely understand that the idea of a flat and stationary Earth seems ridiculous in many ways, but that's only because we are taught the false globe model from the very first time that we enter a school classroom. Not to mention the first time we are introduced to the concept of a flat Earth, it's depicted as a highly laughable world where ships, boats, and water would run off of the edge. So I do get it, but it's all part of the deception. I've spent 30 years of my life believing that we were on a spinning globe. It wasn't until I unbiasedly and scientifically investigated the flat Earth claims that I started to realize that there is more to this theory than I originally gave it credit for. Now, after almost 2 years of research, I'm certain that the Earth is flat. We are told that the Earth spins at 1,040 miles per hour, while the Earth travels around the Sun at 66,000 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the whole solar system is going inside the Milky Way galaxy at a speed of 490,000 miles per hour. And finally, the entire Milky Way galaxy is darting through infinite space at over 1 million miles per hour. Most people believe this, and yet every experiment ever conducted to prove even the simple spin of the Earth has failed. The same thing goes for curvature. It's never been proven, and the only time we see it is in movies, NASA CGI, or when we're looking through a distorted fisheye lens. With all that said, please continue to research critically and don't be afraid to ask reasonable questions and speak out.
This is the real reason why the Georgia Guidestones was demolished. Check this out.
This is actually proof that the Earth is a flat, stationary Earth. And that's why this costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to build, right? This is what they want for the New World Order, of course. But the point is, they know what the Earth is, right? This thing wouldn't work if the Earth was spinning 1,000 miles an hour, shooting 66,000 miles per hour around the sun. It literally wouldn't work. It gets even worse though, guys. On the side here, it's actually a calendar. So if you see this right here, this is a calendar. So if you look through this, you can track the sun every day throughout the year. There's a certain year where it will be right in the middle on the solstice. It's a calendar. Okay, they buried a time capsule over here. Yep. And it tells you all about the astronomical abilities of it, right? This is some crazy stuff. So, channel through stone indicates celestial pole. That's the little hole that you see the North Star through every day for thousands of years. Horizontal slot indicates annual travel of sun, which is that right there, which is how you get the solstice. Sunbeam through the capstone marks noontime throughout the year. There's a slit in the top. When it's exactly 12 o'clock, the sun will be right in the middle of it. This is because the sky does the same thing and resets every year. This will always be accurate. That's why I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building it, or it would be a waste of money, right?
Free your mind, Neo, because the seasons do make sense. The Gleason map is patented, and it's real, and that's how flight paths work. So in the summertime, the sun appears higher in the sky because it's further north. The North Pole is the center of this thing. That's where the northern lights emanate from, right? Now in the winter, the sun is lower in the sky because it's further south. Just entertain the idea. This is what you live on. All flight paths are based on this map. Maybe it looks familiar, like the United Nations logo. Flat, non-rotating, stationary plane. This is the Gleason map. Where do you think you live? What do you think you live on? I'd like to know in the comments what you believe. Free your mind.
Check this out. Give me some volume on this.
Over 99% of the world's internet traffic, including international phone calls and data transfers, rely on cables. Not satellites, cables. Let me show you something super interesting. This is the World Submarine Cables Map. I want you to think of South America as 1, Africa as 2, and Australia as 3. Notice how there is no cables from here to here or here to here. You might ask, why is that important? Here's why. The reason you will never see these cables connected is because look how far the distance is from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, and the vast distance from 1 to 3. But Ryan, what about these cables here? Oh yeah, you mean the short distance right here? But you might ask yourself, Ryan, why is that important? Over 99% of the world's internet traffic, including international phone calls and data transfers, rely on cables. Not satellites, cables. Y'all, pull up any map of sea cables and you will see that none of these touch. Because we live on a flat, geocentric plane, just like the Word of God says. In Revelations 29, and they, talking about the angels, went up on the breadth of the earth. What is that? That is Strong's G4114. Breadth meaning plateaus, has a root word, breadth, suggesting great extent. Let's look up this root word plateaus, G4116.
Check this out. Give me some volume on this.
Over 99% of the world's internet traffic, including international phone calls and data transfers, rely on cables. Not satellites, cables. Let me show you something super interesting. This is the World Submarine Cables Map. I want you to think of South America as 1, Africa as 2, and Australia as 3. Notice how there is no cables from here to here or here to here. You might ask, why is that important? Here's why. The reason you will never see these cables connected is because look how far the distance is from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, and the vast distance from 1 to 3. But Ryan, what about these cables here? Oh yeah, you mean the short distance right here? But you might ask yourself, Ryan, why is that important? Over 99% of the world's internet traffic, including international phone calls and data transfers, rely on cables. Not satellites, cables. Y'all, pull up any map of sea cables and you will see that none of these touch. Because we live on a flat, geocentric plane, just like the Word of God says. In Revelations 29, and they, talking about the angels, went up on the breadth of the earth. What is that? That is Strong's G4114. Breadth meaning plateaus, has a root word, breadth, suggesting great extent. Let's look up this root word plateaus, G4116.
Check this out. Give me some volume on this.
Over 99% of the world's internet traffic, including international phone calls and data transfers, rely on cables. Not satellites, cables. Let me show you something super interesting. This is the World Submarine Cables Map. I want you to think of South America as 1, Africa as 2, and Australia as 3. Notice how there is no cables from here to here or here to here. You might ask, why is that important? Here's why. The reason you will never see these cables connected is because look how far the distance is from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, and the vast distance from 1 to 3. But Ryan, what about these cables here? Oh yeah, you mean the short distance right here? But you might ask yourself, Ryan, why is that important? Over 99% of the world's internet traffic, including international phone calls and data transfers, rely on cables. Not satellites, cables. Y'all, pull up any map of sea cables and you will see that none of these touch. Because we live on a flat, geocentric plane, just like the Word of God says. In Revelations 29, and they, talking about the angels, went up on the breadth of the earth. What is that? That is Strong's G4114. Breadth meaning plateaus, has a root word, breadth, suggesting great extent. Let's look up this root word plateaus, G4116.
I was reading a lot of stuff on the flat earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
That's true?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, God bless.
How long have you been flying for?
Like for Delta 21 years, but maybe like 30 something.
I want to know, because they say the pilots know a lot. Do you think the Earth is flat or no?
I know it's flat.
You know it's flat?
Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
No.
No? What did you see while we were up there?
This is the blue sky, white clouds.
Yeah, is it flat or?
Pretty flat.
Pretty flat?
Yeah.
Alright, thank you. Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
Curvature, no.
No? There's no curvature?
It's just all flat.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I've been flying
and I come to the conclusion there is no curvature. I never allow for curvature. There's no way there's curvature. We're round and flat, aren't we?
Definitely.
We are, aren't we?
Flat as a
Thank
pancake,
you.
mate. Flat as a pancake.
Ed Hooper, an author and researcher, argues the OPV theory in a 1,000-page book called The River.
Between 1957 and 1960, an experimental polio vaccine that was given by mouth, an oral polio vaccine, OPV, was given to roughly 1 million people in Central Africa. The same places where 29 experimental vaccination trials took place in the countries that were then called the Belgian Congo and Rwanda, Burundi, which are now called the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda and Burundi. The same places are the places where you see the first appearances of HIV-1 and AIDS. There is an extraordinary correlation between the two. That is the basis of the OPV theory.
A spirit level uses the behavior of water, which is to naturally find its level. It's the most simplest and effective way to test if something is level, because it can never be wrong. Self-leveling cement uses the same method. It's the water content in the cement that guarantees its level every time, because that's just how water behaves. Water is the only proof you need of a flat earth, as it's the most abundant thing in this world. You cannot see perfectly flat water your entire life and keep pretending you live on a spinning ball covered in water. The amount of mental gymnastics involved is insane. People think centrifugal force is proof of a spinning globe, but on the contrary, it destroys it. All you have to do is look at how a washing machine works or go to your local park and pour some water on the roundabout and spin it. It's a very simple, observable, testable reality, and there is no debate necessary. Anyone who refuses to understand water is not worth a second of your time. Let them live the life of lies their masters made for them. The sun takes 24 hours to do a full lap of the earth. This means the sun will be closest to where you are during midday. This is how time zones work. The sun circles over the earth, gradually winding in and out of seasons every 3 months. This is why Greenland and Alaska have 24-hour sun in their summertime, as it never recedes past the horizon until it changes to the next season. This is also why Antarctica is frozen, because the sun's warmth doesn't reach that far. You see, we live in the most intricate timepiece ever made. The sun tells the hour, the moon tells the month, and the stars tell the season. Celestial navigation is only possible on a flat plane, with the luminaries revolving above it. Otherwise, you're only navigating a tiny triangulation of the infinite cosmos you've been sold. And that's a recipe for getting lost. The stars are fixed like clockwork. They do the same thing every night and every year for eternity. That's not the behavior of a forever expanding cosmos, is it? You are not a random life form on a speck of spinning space debris, shooting through an endless void of nothingness.
Conspiracy theorists, when they get the most crazy, when they really want to dive into who did it, they think it was all Kubrick. The Kubrick literally filmed the fake moon landing, uploaded it to the American TV satellites.
If anyone could do it, it'd be him.
Intriguing? Do I have you intrigued? Well, I mean, see if I understand what you said. It's about a movie you made, no one knows you made. Is that what you said? That's right. It's a production. Like, so you put like you didn't put your name on. Like at the end, you put like a fake name. Oh no, I made it. Like Alan Smithy, like that. That's right. No, I didn't. There was no name put on it. Why? Why would there be no credits? What do you mean? Because there are some things that you just can't put your name on. Okay. I perpetrated a huge fraud, which I am now about to detail. Okay. Involving the United States government and NASA. All right. And I'm sure you've heard the rumors. The moon landing? That's right. That the moon landing was fake. The moon landings all were fake.
And I was the person who filmed it.
You're serious, and okay.
I am serious. I'm dead serious.